The wrought iron gates of Willowbrook Estate slammed shut with a metallic clang that echoed like a gunshot through the pouring rain, locking Freya out of the only home she'd ever truly felt safe in. "You traitorous bastards," she whispered to the empty driveway, her voice cracking as hot tears mixed with the cold downpour. The faded will clutched in her fist, now just a soggy lie. In that moment, as lightning cracked the sky over the rolling Vermont hills, Freya realized her family's love had always been conditional, and hers had just expired. Freya had been 25 when she first uttered the words that shattered her world. "Grandma, I'm gay." It was a sticky July afternoon in the sun-dappled kitchen of Willowbrook, the air thick with the scent of fresh-baked apple pie, and the faint tang of Grandma Eleanor's herbal tea. Eleanor, 78, with her silver hair pinned in a loose bun and eyes like polished sapphires that had seen 2 world wars and 1 quiet divorce, didn't flinch. She set down her teacup with a soft clink, reached across the scarred oak table, and squeezed Freya's trembling hand. "Darlin', I've known since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, chasin' fireflies in the orchard like they held all the stars. Love's love. Fry. Ain't no condition on that here." That acceptance had been Freya's lifeline. Growing up in the shadow of those Vermont hills, Willowbrook wasn't just a house, it was a sanctuary. Built in 1892 by Eleanor's great-grandfather, a rum runner turned lumber baron, the estate sprawled across 50 acres of maple groves, wildflower meadows, and a creek that whispered secrets at night. The Victorian mansion itself was a beast of gables and turrets, painted faded sage green with wraparound porches where Eleanor hosted quilting bees and whispered stories of forbidden loves from her own youth. Freya's parents, Harold and Lydia, had long since fled to the suburbs of Burlington, chasing real jobs and normal lives, leaving Freya to summers with Grandma, where she learned to mend fences, pickle beets, and dream without apology. But family ties in small-town America were like kudzu, beautiful until they choked you out. Harold, a stern accountant with a comb-over that screamed midlife regret, and Lydia, a former beauty queen turned realtor whose smile never reached her eyes, had always viewed Willowbrook as their golden ticket. "That old pile's worth a fortune," Harold would mutter over Thanksgiving turkey, his fork stabbing at the air like he was already subdividing the land. Lydia would nod, her pearl necklace clicking, adding, "Eleanor's too soft-hearted. Needs someone practical to handle it." Freya, the artsy queer kid, who sketched wildflowers and fixed up the estate's creaky gazebo for free, was invisible in their calculations. Eleanor's passing came swift and merciless that October, a heart attack while raking leaves under a harvest moon. Freya found her slumped against the old oak, rake in hand, a half-smile on her lips as if she'd just spotted a deer in the mist. The funeral was a blur of casseroles and condolences in the Presbyterian church, where Pastor Wilkins droned about eternal rest, while Freya gripped the eulogy she'd written, her knuckles white. In it, she'd poured out Eleanor's unspoken truths, the college sweetheart she'd loved in the 60s, a painter named Clara whose letters Eleanor kept hidden in the attic Bible. "She taught us that love doesn't ask permission," Freya read, her voice steady despite the ache. Harold and Lydia exchanged glances from the pews, their faces pinched like they'd swallowed lemons. The reading of the will happened 2 weeks later in a stuffy lawyer's office in Montpelier, the kind of place that smelled like old paper and regret. Mr. Hargrove, Eleanor's attorney since Freya was in diapers, a wiry man with wire-rimmed glasses and a mustache like a broom bristle, cleared his throat. "To my granddaughter, Freya May Harlan, I bequeath Willowbrook Estate in its entirety, the house, land, outbuildings, and all furnishings therein. Yours, child, because you see its soul. Freya's breath caught, a sob bubbling up as she pictured the attic room she'd claimed as her studio. Canvases stacked like promises. Harold's face turned the color of buttermilk. Lydia's manicured nails digging into her purse. There must be a mistake, Harold sputtered. Eleanor's not in her right mind at the end, senile. Probably. Hargrove fixed him with a stare. Sign. Witness. Notarized. Ironclad. Freya moved in that weekend. The keys heavy in her pocket like talismans. The house welcomed her with creaks and sighs. The grandfather clock in the hall chiming as if Eleanor herself approved. She spent days cataloging treasures, the porcelain teacup collection from Eleanor's travels, the quilt piece from Clara's dresses, the orchard she'd plant come spring with varieties Eleanor had always dreamed of, Honeycrisp for sweetness, Liberty for the fight. But solitude gnawed at her. That's when Alex came crashing in. Quite literally. It was a blustery November morning. Freya hauling firewood from the shed when a battered Ford pickup fishtailed up the gravel drive, spraying mud like confetti. Out tumbled Alex Rivera, 29. All curves and confidence in mud-splattered Carhartt overalls and a flannel shirt rolled to her elbows, revealing tattoos of roses entwined with circuit boards, a nod to her life as a solar installer from nearby Brattleboro. Her skin was a warm mahogany, hair cropped close in defiant curls, hazel eyes sparkling with mischief under arched brows. Sorry about the skid, roads are shit after the rain. Name's Alex. Your grandma hired me last summer to wire up those panels on the barn roof. Figured with her gone, you'd need 'em checked. Freya wiped sawdust from her jeans, heart thudding not from the near miss but from the way Alex's laugh cut through the wind like sunlight. Freya. And yet, Grandma was all about that off-grid life. It's herbal, her recipe. They ended up on the porch swing. Steam rising from mugs as Alex spun tales of her crew, the burly ex-Marine who knitted on breaks, the queer kid from Boston apprenticing under her. Eleanor's place was my favorite gig, Alex said. Legs stretched out. Boots scuffed from 100 rooftops. She'd bring us empanadas, said they reminded her of some fling in San Juan back in '72. Women had stories. By the time the sun dipped low, painting the hills in bruised purples, Freya had spilled her own, the coming out, the will, the quiet terror of holding something so vast alone. Alex listened, head tilted, then reached over and tucked a stray auburn lock behind Freya's ear. Sounds like Eleanor's given you roots to grow wild, not chains to drag. Their fingers brushed, electric as a live wire. And Freya felt seen, not as the family oddity, but as herself. Freckles and fears and all. What started as porch talks bloomed into stolen afternoons. Alex would show up with toolboxes and takeout from the diner in town, greasy burgers wrapped in wax paper, shared on the kitchen floor amid blueprints for expanding the solar array. Freya sketched her. The way Alex's dimples deepened when she teased about Freya's fancy city sketches, though Freya hadn't left Vermont in years. The scar on her collarbone from a childhood fall chasing her brothers through Puerto Rican mango groves. They'd wander the orchard. Alex's hand warm in Freya's, debating everything from Eleanor's rumored bootlegger tunnels under the house to the ethics of subdividing land for McMansions. This place is sacred, Alex murmured one dusk, their shoulders touching as they watched fireflies wink like escaped stars. Like you. The first kiss happened under that same oak where Eleanor had fallen, snow dusting the branches like powdered sugar. Freya had been stringing holiday lights, humming carols off-key, when Alex appeared with a thermos of spike cider. Can't let you deck the halls solo. They clinked mugs. Laughter bubbling. Then silence fell heavy as the flakes. Alex stepped close. Breath mingling in the chill. Fry. Your trouble, the best kind. Her lips were soft, tasting of cinnamon and courage. And Freya melted into her, hands fisting in flannel as the world narrowed to heartbeat in heat. It was messy. Urgent. Like they'd both been starving for this language. Word spread in Eden Falls like wildfire through dry grass. Lydia called the next week. Voice syrupy sharp. Heard you've got a friend helping out. That Rivera girl? Her family's from away, questionable stock. Freya's grip tightened on the phone. Alex's family now. Mom. More than you ever were. Harold followed with emails. To the whole clan. Spreadsheets projecting Willowbrook's market value at $1.2 million. Footnotes on emotional decisions and legacy preservation. Freya deleted them unread. But doubt crept in like frost on window panes. Winter deepened their bond. New Year's Eve. They built a bonfire in the meadow. Flames leaping as Alex pulled Freya into a slow dance to Motown crackling from a Bluetooth speaker. To inheritances, Alex toasted. The ones that stick. Freya laughed. But her eyes stung. Eleanor's Bible now held love letters from Alex, pressed like wildflowers. They made love that night in the attic studio. Moonlight slanting through dormers. Bodies tangling in sheets that smelled of lavender and possibility. Alex traced Freya's tattoos, a sleeve of vines and stars she'd inked after coming out, and whispered, "You're my wild thing." Freya arched into her, whispering back promises she prayed she could keep. But spring brought thorns. It started with certified letters from Hargrove, liens on the property taxes, whispers of adverse claims from unnamed relatives. Freya ignored them, focusing on the orchard planting, saplings dug into soil with Alex's strong hands guiding hers. Then, one muggy May afternoon, a yellow excavator rumbled up the drive, flanked by surveyors in vests. Freya bolted from the house, mud flying from her boots. What the hell is this? The foreman, a beefy guy with a clipboard, shrugged. Orders from Harlan Realty. Subdividing for condos. Your folks signed off. The world tilted. Freya stormed into town, pounding on the door of her parents' vacation rental, a sterile condo overlooking the lake. All beige carpets and motivational posters. Lydia answered. Pearls clutched like a shield. Fry. Honey. It's for the best. Willowbrook's too much for one person. Taxes alone could bankrupt you. We sold to developers who'll honor Eleanor's memory with amenities. Harold loomed behind, arms crossed. You weren't even using it right. Partying with that woman? It's a business decision. Not personal. Not personal. Freya's voice rose, raw as an open wound. Grandma left it to me because she trusted me with its heart. Not your balance sheets. You knew how much it meant. Lydia's eyes flickered, almost regretful. We have to think of the family. Fry. All of us. The betrayal landed like a sucker punch. Her own blood, auctioning off her soul for a commission check. She drove back in a daze, finding Alex waiting on the porch, thermos in hand. Talk to me, Alex said, pulling her into an embrace that smelled of earth and engine oil. Freya collapsed against her, sobs racking her frame. They sold it. Behind my back. It's gone. Alex held her through the night, murmuring Spanish lullabies her abuela taught her. But the ache festered. Freya couldn't sleep. haunted by Eleanor's voice. Love's love. Darlin'. Fight for it. The fight came swift. Freya lawyered up Hargrove. Bless him. On retainer and filed an injunction, citing fraud and undue influence. Court dates loomed like storm clouds over the county seat. The hearing room packed with locals, Pastor Wilkins clutching his Bible, Alex's crew in the back row like a rainbow guard. Lydia took the stand first. Tear-streaked and tragic. We only wanted to protect her from herself. Harold droned stats. But his eyes darted. Guilty. Freya testified last. Voice steady as she unfolded Eleanor's letters. Reading aloud the one to Clara. If they try to take our wild places, plant new seeds anyway. The judge, a silver-haired woman with a no-nonsense bun, leaned forward. This ain't about dollars, folks. It's about intent. Motion granted, sale halted. Cheers erupted. Alex whooping loudest, sweeping Freya into a hug that lifted her off the floor. But victory soured quick. That night, as they celebrated with cider on the porch, Freya's phone buzzed. A voicemail from Lydia. Voice hollow. We're done. Fry. No more handouts. You're on your own. Silence stretched. Then Harold's truck peeled out of town at dawn, tail lights vanishing like ghosts. The family rift cracked wide. Cousins unfriending on Facebook. Aunts sending passive-aggressive cards. Freya grieved them like a death. But Alex was there, grounding her with quiet strength. Summer unfurled in fragile peace. They expanded the solar farm, turning the barn into a community hub. Workshops for queer youth on sustainable living. Art classes in Freya's studio where she'd teach shading heartbreak into beauty. Alex proposed over a picnic in the orchard. Not with rings but with a seedling in a pot. Grow with me. Freya said yes through laughter and tears, sealing it with a kiss that tasted like forever. Yet autumn brought the rail storm. Developers, rebuffed, sued for breach, dragging Eleanor's mental state into the mud. Paparazzi from Burlington tabloids swarmed. Headlines screaming queer heiress clings to crumbling legacy. Freya's sketches sold out at a local gallery, funding the fight. But exhaustion carved hollows under her eyes. One rain-lashed night, as thunder rattled the windows, she confessed to Alex, curled on the rug by the fire. What if I lose it all? What if I'm not enough? Alex cupped her face, thumbs brushing tears. You're the heart of this place. Fry. Estate or no? That's what they can't sell. The climax crashed on a foggy November dawn. 6 months to the day Eleanor died. Freya woke to pounding at the gates, deputies with eviction papers, developers' lawyers smirking behind. Emergency ruling sale proceeds. Her pulse thundered as she raced out in robe and boots, Alex scrambling behind in boxers and a tee. The rain lashed like whips, soaking them as Freya chained herself to the gates, screaming, "This is my home. You can't erase us." Cameras flashed. Neighbors gathered, murmuring. Lydia appeared then, uninvited, umbrella in hand, face ashen. Fry. Stop this madness. Come with us, we'll start fresh. Freya's laugh was bitter. Rain streaming. Fresh? You sold my fresh start for a down payment on your lies. The words hung. A chasm. Lydia reached through the bars, hand trembling. We were scared. Of you. Of what it meant. But Eleanor's gone. And you're all we have left. It was the closest to apology she'd come. But Freya shook her head. Blood doesn't make family. Love does. As deputies advanced, Alex stepped forward, linking arms with Freya. We're not movin'. The crowd swelled, Pastor Wilkins with a sign. Love thy neighbor, all of 'em. The standoff stretched hours. Viral on social media. Hashtags like Save Willowbrook trending nationwide. By noon, a counter-ruling faxed in, public outcry. Celebrity donors, a folk singer Eleanor's age tweeted support. And Hargrove's last-ditch appeal. The chains came off. But so did the weight. Developers folded. The estate secured. In the aftermath, Freya and Alex rebuilt. Not just walls but bridges. Lydia visited once. Tentative. Bringing Eleanor's teacup as peace offering. They talked awkward. Raw about regrets. About Clara's letters Lydia had found and burned in fear. I was wrong, she whispered. Freya forgave. Not forgetting, but releasing. Harold never came, but cards arrived at Christmas. And signed. Willowbrook thrived. A bed and breakfast for queer travelers. Solar-powered and soulful. With a plaque by the oak. For Eleanor and Clara. Love endures. Freya and Alex married there at solstice. Under a canopy of strung lights. Vows exchanged with saplings in hand. To wild roots, Alex said. Freya smiled. Green eyes bright. And the loves that outlast storms. Years later, as snow blanketed the hills, Freya would sit on the porch swing. Alex's head in her lap. Sketching their daughter, tousled curls and hazel eyes, chasing fireflies. Betrayal had scarred. But it hadn't broken them. In America's heartland, where freedoms were hard-won and loves often hidden, Willowbrook stood as testament. Inheritance wasn't land or gold, but the courage to claim your light, no matter who tried to dim it. The swing creaked softly under their weight, a rhythm as familiar as Alex's breathing against Freya's thigh. Little May, named for the middle initial in Eleanor's will. Though they joke it stood for Mischief Absolute, toddled across the lawn, her chubby fists clutching a mason jar that caught more giggles than bugs. 3. She was a whirlwind of Alex's curls and Freya's freckles. Her hazel eyes wide with the same wonder Freya remembered from her own summers here. Mama! Look! Star in a bottle! May squealed, thrusting the jar skyward. Fireflies blinking like hesitant applause. Freya chuckled. Her fingers idly tracing the faded ink on Alex's forearm. The roses now entwined with a tiny vine for May. She's got your fire. You know. That unapologetic spark. Alex tilted her head up. Dimples flashing in the twilight. Nah. That's all you. Wild girl. I just provide the kindling. Their lips met in a lazy kiss. The kind that spoke of mornings tangled in sheets and evenings like this, simple. Sacred. Willowbrook had become their universe. The B&B rooms booked solid with couples seeking refuge. The orchard heavy with fruit that funded scholarships for local queer kids. Life wasn't perfect, taxes bit hard. Winters isolated, but it was theirs. Pieced together from betrayals and blooms. Yet echoes lingered. Freya still woke some nights. Heart racing from dreams of locked gates and Lydia's tear-streaked face. The family fracture had healed crooked. Lydia visited sporadically, bringing store-bought jam and stilted stories of Harold's golf league in Florida, where he'd retreated after the divorce papers she'd filed post-trial. He couldn't face it, Lydia confessed once. Over tea in the kitchen. Her pearls absent for the first time. The shame. But you've built something real here. Freya had nodded, offering a jar of her own rhubarb preserve. The gesture a quiet truce. Forgiveness wasn't erasure, It was choosing not to let the poison spread. Alex sensed the shadows. Always. "Penny for him?" she murmured now, as May dashed off to chase shadows. Freya sighed, gaze drifting to the oak, its branches a dark lace against the stars. Just thinking about Grandma's letters. The one she burned Clara's last. What if I'd lost this place? What stories would May never know? Alex sat up, pulling Freya close. Her embrace a harbor. Then we'd make new ones. On a rooftop in Brattleboro. Or a van down by the creek. Point is, we don't lose us. It was truth. American as apple pie with a twist, resilient. Reinvented. The next morning dawned crisp. The kind of September blue that made Vermont feel infinite. Freya was elbow deep in pie dough when the doorbell jangled, a rare walk-in for the B&B. Wiping flour from her apron, she opened the door to find a woman in her 50s. Salt and pepper bob framing a face etched with city lines. Suitcase in hand. "Hi, saw your ad on that queer travel site. Room for one? I'm Jordan. From Seattle. Needed a reset." Her voice carried a lilt. West Coast easy. But her eyes held the weight of unshed storms. Freya ushered her in. The scent of cinnamon welcoming. Plenty of rooms. "I'm Freya, co-owner with my wife." Tea. As Jordan settled in the parlor, spilling about a bitter breakup with her partner of 15 years. She said I was too ambitious. But really, she couldn't handle the spotlight. Freya felt a kinship. The raw edge of shared wounds. By lunch, Jordan had joined the orchard tour. Alex explaining the solar setup with her trademark enthusiasm. Eleanor's dream, power from the sun. No strings to the grid. Jordan's laugh was genuine. Sounds like my kinda independence. Over the week, Jordan became a fixture. Mornings sketching with Freya in the studio. Afternoons hiking the trails with May strapped to her back. Evenings around the fire pit trading tales. She revealed fragments, a career as a civil rights attorney. Fighting for trans kids in boardrooms, the ex who cheated with a colleague. Leaving her adrift. "I came out at 42. You know? Thought I'd figured it all out. But love's a sly fox." Freya shared her own scars. The will. The sale. The night she'd chained to the gates. Betrayal from family cuts deepest. But it taught me, build your tribe wider. Alex watched it unfold with quiet pride. Whispering to Freya one night as Jordan read May a bedtime story. "You're healing us all, babe. One story at a time." But Jordan's stay stretched. Her reset turning therapeutic. She volunteered at the workshops, leading sessions on legal protections for queer estates. Wills ain't just paper, they're shields. Locals trickled in. Wary at first, old-timers like Mrs. Hargrove, who'd baked for Eleanor's funeral, but Jordan's warmth cracked shells. One evening, Pastor Wilkins stopped by, hat in hand. "Heard about your gatherings. Mind if I sit in? Got a nephew coming out soon." Freya's yes was easy. The porch swing witness to another bridge. Fall painted the hills in fire. Harvest festivals buzzing with cider presses and hayrides. Freya and Alex danced under strung lights. May giggling between them. Jordan snapping photos with a vintage Polaroid. "This," Jordan said, pinning a shot to the fridge, the three of them mid-twirl. Faces alight. "This is what I was missing. Not perfection. Presence." But as leaves fell, so did hints of Jordan's unrest. Late-night calls to Seattle. Packing lists scribbled then torn. "I can't hide forever," she confessed over brandy one storm-tossed evening. The firm's calling me back, big case on voting rights. Freya ached for her. The pull of purpose versus peace. You don't have to choose. Willowbrook's a pit stop. Not a cage. Jordan's eyes welled. What if I want it to be more? The air thickened, charged as the thunder outside. Alex, sensing the shift, suggested a group hike to the creek. Clear heads. Muddy boots. They're ankle-deep in water. Jordan broke, sobs echoing off stones as she unpacked the ex's final barb. You're too broken for love. Freya waded in, arms open. We're all cracked. Jord. Light gets in. The moment crystallized something in Freya. A mirror to her own raw edges. Back at the house, as rain pattered the roof, Jordan kissed her. Soft tentative, born of vulnerability. Freya froze, then pulled back gently. God, you're incredible. But my heart's here with Alex. This life. Jordan nodded. Tears fresh. I know. Just needed to feel wanted. No anger. Only understanding. They curled up that night. Platonic spoons. Talking till dawn about boundaries and beauty in the mess. Alex, ever the rock, held space the next day. No jealousy. Just a quiet. You okay? Freya nodded. Gratitude swelling. More than. It reminded me why I fight for this. They made love fiercely then. Reclaiming in the attic. Bodies a map of scars and stars. Jordan left a week later. Polaroids in her suitcase. A promise to return for Thanksgiving. You've given me roots to carry, she hugged Freya goodbye. The drive receded, but her light lingered. A reminder that love's forms were vast as the Vermont sky. Winter whispered in early. Snow blanketing the orchard like a hush. May's first real Christmas. Stockings hung by the fire. Eleanor's quilt wrapped around story time. Lydia arrived unannounced. Bundled in a coat too thin for the chill. A tin of her mother's shortbread in hand. Thought. Maybe I could help with the tree. Her voice quavered. Eyes on the floor. Freya hesitated. Then stepped aside. Yeah. Come in. The afternoon unfolded awkward but tender. Lydia untangling lights with May on her hip. Humming carols off-key. Alex in the kitchen brewing cocoa with marshmallows bobbing like buoys. As dusk fell, tree aglow, Lydia pulled Freya aside. I found something after Harold left. Your grandma's journal. Hidden in the attic. Entries about you. From the start. She pressed a leather-bound book into Freya's hands. Pages yellowed. Read it. She was proud fiercely. Freya devoured it that night. Alex's arm around her. Eleanor's script. Looping cursive. Chronicling Freya's bold spirit. Her sketches alive as Clara's laugh. One entry gutted her. If they take the land, let Fry take the fight. She's the heir to more than bricks. Tears blurred ink. But resolve hardened. The next spring, they launched the Eleanor Fund, grants for queer elders to preserve homes. Jordan heading the legal arm from Seattle. Lydia chipped in anonymously at first, then openly. Her realtor skills scouting properties. Yet conflict simmered elsewhere. Developers, licking wounds, whispered to councilmen about zoning issues, code for pushing back against the alternative B&B. A town hall loomed. Whispers of petitions. Freya prepped. Stomach knotted. Alex's hand steady in hers. We've faced worse gates, she said. The meeting crackled. Wilkins defending Christian charity. A bigot farmer railing about values. Freya spoke last. Voice clear. Willowbrook's American as it gets, hard one. Open-hearted. Eleanor's legacy isn't exclusion. It's invitation. Cheers drowned the booze. The measure failed. But victory tasted bittersweet, May. Down with a fever that night. Clinging hot and small. Freya paced the kitchen. Alex brewing tea. Fear clawing. What if I can't protect her from all this? Alex pulled her close. We do it together. Always. Summer brought renewal. May's 4th birthday. A picnic under the oak with Jordan flying in. Lydia toasting with actual warmth. Freya watched them, her patchwork family. Stitched from betrayals and grace, and felt whole. Love, she'd learned, wasn't inherited. It was excavated. Daily. From the dirt of doubt. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the picnic blanket strewn with wildflowers and half-eaten cupcakes, Freya caught Lydia's eye across the circle. Her mother looked smaller somehow. The lines around her mouth softened by May's sticky fingers smearing frosting on her cheek. Gamma LYD. Taste. May demanded. And Lydia's laugh, genuine, unguarded, bubbled up. A sound Freya hadn't heard since childhood Easter egg hunts. Jordan snapped a photo. Her Seattle polish traded for overalls and dirt-streaked knees from chasing May through the grass. This, she said, showing the screen, is envy-inducing. Don't y'all dare move. Alex, cross-legged with a beer in hand, grinned. No plans to. Roots run deep here. Her free hand found Freya's, thumb circling a familiar scar from that orchard planting years back, a thorn's reminder of growth's cost. Freya squeezed back, the warmth chasing away the evening chill. Willowbrook pulsed around them, bees humming in the lavender beds. The creeks murmur a bass line to birdsong. It was moments like this that made the fights worth it, the quiet proofs that betrayal hadn't won. But life, in its American grit, rarely stayed idyllic. September brought word from Hargrove, a distant cousin. Uncle Ray from Ohio, Harold's brother. A used car salesman with a grudge and a lawyer on speed dial, challenging the will on undue influence grounds. Claims Eleanor was coerced by your lifestyle, Hargrove grumbled over the phone, his mustache twitching audibly. Freya's stomach dropped, the office chair creaking under her as if echoing the fracture. Lifestyle? He means me being gay. Bastard couldn't stand her loving me more. Alex walked in then, fresh from a solar install. Overalls dusty. One look at Freya's face, and she dropped her toolbox with a clang. What's the play? No questions. Just alliance her way. Freya exhaled. Cord again. Ray wants a cut. Or the whole damn pie. Alex's jaw set. Hazel eyes flashing. Then we bake a bigger one. Jordan. Freya nodded. Seattle's attorney was on a red eye. The battle dragged into October. Leaves turning blood red as tempers flared. Depositions in Montpelier's stale air. Paunchy and red-faced. Sputtering about traditional values, and how Freya's deviant friends had turned Eleanor's head. Lydia, subpoenaed, took the stand pale but poised. My brother-in-law's a fool, she said flatly. Eleanor chose Freya because she saw her soul. I failed to see that too. Once. The courtroom hushed, even the judge raised a brow. Freya's testimony was fire. Letters read aloud. Eleanor's journal pages photocopied and passed like holy writ. This isn't about money. It's about erasing who we are. Alex waited outside each adjournment, thermos of tea in hand. May doodling on legal pads in her lap. Kick-ass. Mama Fry, she'd chirp, and Freya would scoop her up, burying fear in soft curls. Nights blurred into strategy sessions by the fire, Jordan on video, mapping precedents, Lydia, unexpectedly, digging up old family deeds proving Ray's own shady land grabs. Karma's a bitch, she muttered, a wry smile cracking her facade. Climax hit mid-trial. A bombshell email from Ray's camp, forged documents proving Eleanor's dementia. Timestamps doctored. Freya's blood boiled. Alex paced like a caged panther. We expose it. Go nuclear. The hearing devolved into chaos. Accusations flying. Ray's lawyer sweating bullets as Hargrove presented forensics from a Burlington tech whiz, one of Alex's crew. The judge banged her gavel. Tampering? This court's done. Ray slunk out. Disgrace. His claim shredded. Relief washed like spring thaw. But scars itched. Freya drove the backroads that night. Windows down. Wind whipping her hair as U2 blasted. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Alex rode shotgun. Silent understanding. They parked by the creek. Boots crunching gravel. And talked till stars wheeled overhead. Family's a loaded word, Freya said. Skipping stones. Thought losing Willowbrook was the worst. But this? Fighting ghosts who share your blood. Alex pulled her close. Chin on shoulder. You're not losing. You're claiming. And I'm here for every inch. November's dawn broke misty. The estate shrouded as Freya stood at the gates, the same one she'd chained to years prior. May tugged her hand. Why sad? Mama. Freya knelt. Green eyes meeting hazel. Not sad. Bean. Grateful. This place taught me love's a verb, fierce. Forgiving. They walked the drive together. Alex trailing with coffee. The Victorian spires emerging like a promise kept. Holiday lights twinkled early that year. The B&B a beacon for strays. A trans teen from Boston. Fleeing conversion camp, Jordan. Back with a girlfriend in tow. All tentative touches and inside jokes. Lydia hosted cookie bake. Her hands flour-dusted beside Freya's, passing down Eleanor's rolling pin like a scepter. I was wrong about so much, she said softly, as dough chilled. But watching you. It's redemption, Freya nodded. Lump in throat. Stick around for it. Then, New Year's brought snowshoe treks and bonfires. Resolutions whispered over mulled wine. Alex and Freya renewed vows under the oak, informal. Just them and May. Rings exchanged with firefly jars as witnesses. To more wild years, Alex vowed. Voice husky. Freya's yes was a seal. Their kiss sealing snowflakes on lashes. Spring greened the hills. Orchard bursting with promise. May started preschool in town. Her backpack stuffed with sketches of Mama Fry and Mama Lex, holding hands under rainbows. Freya expanded the studio into classes for elders, Lydia's first. Watercolor washes tentative but true. Feels like coming home, she admitted. Brush in hand. Yet humanity's arc bent slow. A summer storm felled the old barn. Insurance a joke. Repairs a scramble. Fundraisers poured in Wilkins's church bake sale. Jordan's legal network GoFundMe. Strangers became kin. A dyke couple from Austin donating beams. A non-binary artist shipping canvases. Willowbrook's legend now, Alex said, hammering nails beside Freya. Our legend. Autumn wove gold through the leaves. Harvest moon full and fat. Freya. Belly rounding with their second, a surprise conceived in winter's quiet, watched Alex teach May to press cider. Juice staining chins. Jordan visited. Her girlfriend proposing on the porch swing. Lydia, dating a widow from the quilting circle, blushed like a girl. The picnic circled back. Blankets spread. Stories looping like vines. As dusk fell, Freya leaned into Alex, hand on the swell of life within. Think Grandma's watching? Smiling. Alex's arm tightened. Damn right. And Clara's toasting with celestial bootleg. Laughter rippled. May's jar catching the last firefly, a blink of enduring light. In the end, Willowbrook wasn't just inherited, it was earned. Betrayal's forge tempering love's blade. Freya had come out to claim it, fought to keep it, shared it wide. In America's patchwork heart, where queers built homes from ruins, families mended with mercy, the estate stood, not a monument to loss, but a living hymn to what endures. Roots deep, branches wide, love's unapologetic. And in that profound grace,